and that would be basically something like this. Let me give space. So I'll write here 1024 steric I'll write here the event size plus 16, and in here I could define a few variable, for example integer length, and then I could define I equals 0. We'd use that later. I can also define the other integer variables as fd, and I can also define wd, and then we can come on to the next line where we can write here character, and then I could write here buffer, and then I could use an argument like bufleng or len, the buffer length that I have defined earlier, and then I can come to the next line, and now I would use fd equals, and then I could write here I notify underscore initialization of it. Okay, and then I could come here and I could put a condition here. If fd is less than 0, then what we want to do is that we want to display an error, right? So we'd write here p error, and in here would write here, let's say we write inside of that I notify underscore init. Okay, so then we put a semicolon here, and obviously after that one line has been considered the part of the if block. Other than that it won't be considered the part of the if block. So now we'd write here wd equals, and then basically write here I notify underscore add underscore watch. Okay, and then we'd write here inside of this the few of the arguments. First of all, we'd write here fd, then would write here the path where we want to monitor. Okay, so for example, let's say there is a cars folder on my desktop, so I want to monitor that. Okay, so what I would do, I would write here the path slash home slash linux hint, which is my username, slash desktop slash cars. Okay, then after writing the path, what I would do, I would put a comma here, and then I would write here in modify. So inform me whenever you modify something inside this folder, and or inform me if something has been created inside this directory or folder. Also inform me if something has been deleted inside this folder. Okay, so you basically put a semicolon here, and then you basically come to the next line, and in here you use that variable length, you put a equal sign, and then you write here read, and then you read fd first, then buffer, then buf underscore len. Alright, then you put a semicolon here as well. So after that, what you're gonna do, that you're gonna write here the length. Okay, you're gonna put a check here. If length is basically less than 0, it means that it has basically given us a read error. So we write here p error, and we write here read, okay, inside double quotes, and then we put a semicolon here. After that, we put here a while loop, and we put a condition I is less than length. Alright, and then we basically create the body of the while, and inside this while we basically write a structure. Okay, struct I notify underscore event, and then static event. Alright, then I put an equal sign, and then I write here the brackets, and inside these brackets I again write structure, and then I write here I notify underscore event, and then I write here static and buffer, and then I write here I colon semicolon. Okay, then I come to the next line and I write here an if condition, and the if condition would be something like this. After that we'd write here event name, put a semicolon here, and then we'd just simply copy it 2 times more for in delete and for in modify. Okay, so we just simply copy this these 2 lines including the if statement. Okay, so we come to the next line, we basically just paste this. Alright, and after pasting it we just a little bit modify it. So instead of in create here we write here in delete. Okay, in delete, and in here we say was deleted, and we are good to go. Okay, and then we basically copy it copy and paste it one more time. We come here and we basically paste it, and instead of here in create we write here in modify, and then instead of was created we say was modified. Okay, so after that we come to the next line, and now basically we increment the I, so we write here I plus equals event underscore size plus event, then you make an arrow sign, and then you write here len. Okay, so after that you basically close the while loop, which is here. Okay, and we have already closed it, so let me just bring the cursor here, bring the curly braces here, so that you can understand the while loop has finished here. So after that, once the while loop is finished, now what you have to do, you have to write here 2 void functions. Okay, so you have to explicitly define and tell that these are the void functions. So I would write here I notify, then underscore rm underscore watch. Alright, and then would write here brackets, and inside these brackets we would pass 2 arguments, fd and wd. Alright, then we put a semicolon here. We come to the next line, we again write here void, and the second function that we are gonna call is the close function. Okay, so now we basically close fd. Alright, we put a semicolon and we are all done. So basically three kind of events that would happen. One is if file is created, if file is deleted, and file is modified. In these three events, it would basically notify us. Okay, so we would just save this program, and we'd just go to our terminal, and we'd try to run our program. So C program -O, then tst. So you can see that it is giving some sort of errors. Okay, so basically yes, so there is one error here. So the error is that we have not written here size off. Okay, so we have to write here size off, and we are done. So we would save it, we clear it, and we come here and we try to run our program again. So now you can see that there is no error, so our program is working just fine. So if we hit tst, so now you can see that now the cursor is blinking, so it is waiting for some sort of thing to happen. So we go inside this cars folder, and inside this, let's say we want to create a new text file. So we come here, we press Ctrl N, and we save this file inside that cars folder. So we go to desktop, we go to here cars, and let me just write here anything like AS. So I save it. So when I save it, if I go to my terminal now, you can see that it says the file was created. So now basically what we do that, let us run the program again. Okay, and now would basically delete this file. So now what we would do that, we would open up another terminal inside here, and would basically delete this file. Okay, so now you can see that it says the file was deleted. Okay, so now we would discuss signal handlers. Alright, so the idea is that a signal is a notification that some kind of event has occurred and may be sent to a process by the kernel, by another process, or by itself. Alright, so there is a range of standard signal types, each of which has a unique number and purpose. Signal delivery is typically asynchronous, meaning that the point at which the signal interrupts execution of the process is unpredictable. In some cases, for example, hardware generated signals, signals are delivered synchronously, okay, meaning that delivery occurs predictably and reproducibly at a certain point in the execution of a program. So by default, a signal either is ignored, terminates a process with or without a core dump, stops a running process, or restarts a stop process. So there are basically bunch of signals that you can kill, you can send, and every signal has a specific number. Okay, so in today's example that we do, we just see one example in which we would use signal handler, okay, and would try to interrupt the program, and let's see what happens. Okay, so that is a very simple and fair example. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's try to do that example. So we'd go here and we'd open up our C program here. So let's just remove this, get rid of all of this inside the main function. So the other thing that we need to do, we need to get rid of all these libraries. Okay, and in here let's write 3 more libraries that we would be needing. Would write here hash include stdlib.h, the header file. Then we'd write here hash include unistd.h. okay, the fourth one that we need here, that is basically the signal.h. okay, signal.h. So now what we're gonna do that, first of all would write outside the main function, we'd write here void, then sig handler, signal handler, okay, and inside of this we'd pass integer.